Hello and welcome to MOTH News. My name is Keith Walsh and I will be your host for the next hour or so. Let's go straight into what's making the headlines across politics, public affairs and justice in Ireland. We like to sort of look a little bit between the lines. Maybe it's a little bit different to what you might see in your mainstream newspapers and platforms. We just try and get into the nitty gritty of it just to see if what's been said is actually, you know, what you should know. And as we know here in Moth News, language is very important, and how news is reported is very important. So we will have a look a little bit at that as well. We're going to start with the presidential race. We're going to do a sort of a good week, bad week for the three candidates. So first up, we have Jim Gavin, the footballing hero, manager of Dublin's 6-in-a-row team. Somebody correct me if anybody knows. So Jim Gavin, this week, he scored some positive momentum by unveiling drone-based innovations in public infrastructure, reinforcing his campaign theme of technological progress. But he faced scrutiny over the procurement side. Critics are asking whether the drone contracts were awarded with enough transparency, bringing accountability into question. And also there was a question about whether he had shot some of his footage for his campaign using a drone in a drone red zone, which was he had to apologize for, as far as I know. So interesting. He got into the whole drone area and then kind of totally messed up in the whole drone area. But that's Jim Gavin's week so far. Catherine Connolly, she's enjoying a stronger public profile after passionately speaking on social justice in recent media appearances. That's her good week, I suppose. People seem to like her. She's very likable. On the downside, there are allegations of staff hires in her office bypassing the standard public service protocols. She insists everything was above board, but the optics seem to be proving difficult. And also there was mention of some old footage of Catherine talking about Hamas and stuff like that. And we know that that's like almost like an own goal then for, when you're running for president, because what they'll say to you is, what do you support? It's like the question that comes up, do you support Hamas? And that's not actually what she was saying. But it just takes away from her ability to run a good campaign, that is there. And as we know, this is presidential elections. It's skeletons in the closet time. That's what it's all about. Heather Humphreys, she picked up positive coverage with a rural development tour highlighting investment in infrastructure in undeserved counties. That's a win for her. Not really sure. Underserved counties, not undeserved counties. But in urban areas, she's come under fire for seeming to be disconnected from the housing affordability crisis, and critics say her urban policy messaging is weak. And also, a lot of people are complaining that she's trying to come across too much as like, I'm just a real person with real children and real grandchildren, and I'm just real. And it's like, well, yeah, you are kind of, but it's okay. Like, you're a little bit different as well, because you've been a politician for most of your life, and that does make your life a little bit different to most real people. So maybe just, back off on the I'm a real person stuff. We get it. You're okay. Tragedy in the UK. In Manchester yesterday on Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, a terror attack at the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue. Now I've said terror attack. That's what's coming up in the mainstream media. It left 2 people dead and several others seriously injured. And that's according to The Guardian and Reuters. So The Guardian and Reuters are reporting it as a terror attack. The assailant, a 35-year-old British citizen, they're also reporting the fact that he's of Syrian descent, and his name is Jihad al-Shami. He reportedly drove a car into pedestrians outside the synagogue and then proceeded to stab worshippers. And that is from the Financial Times, Al Jazeera, and some CBS as well. Police responded swiftly, shot and killed the attacker within minutes. So it looks like we won't be able to question the man. And the attacker was wearing what looked like an explosive vest, triggering a bomb squad response. But the device was later found to be fake. So lots to unpack there, and we will have a quick chat with Oscar about that in a moment. We did, during the week, I spoke to the parents of Harvey Morrison Sherratt, Gillian and Stephen, very nice people. The government is now formally committed to an inquiry into the scoliosis and spina bifida care following the death of Harvey. Terrible tragedy, terrible loss to that family. but hopefully some good will come from it. Gillian Stephen recently met with the Taoiseach Simon Harris and Health Minister Jennifer Carroll McNeil to press their case, and a follow-up meeting is being planned for in 3 weeks to help shape the inquiry's terms of reference. Speaking to his parents, they said, look, we're okay to have, an inquiry set up in terms of reference, but that should be malleable, and there should be the opportunity to change the terms of reference as evidence of certain things emerge, as things change, and it shouldn't be too strict. So I think they are trying to get that point across, and I think it is being listened to. Another major proposal, Children's Health Ireland, the body overseeing Temple Street, Crumlin and Tala, is set to be integrated into the HSE by 2027. We spoke about this a little bit last week, but many will ask the questions. Will that structural shift truly fix persistent waiting lists, oversight failings and institutional culture, or simply move the pain elsewhere and allow people to hide away? We will examine that next with our reporter here on the scene and live in studio, Oscar. Just give me 1 minute there, Oscar. You're being very patient. And a quick one from the economy. Tax revenue figures from the Department of Finance are running about 600 million behind forecast. That shortfall puts fresh pressure on how the government will fund housing, health and public services in the months ahead. So once again, those are the things that will suffer. I'd imagine if there's a shortfall, and it'd be interesting to find out why there's a shortfall, and we will get to that maybe next week as well. Right, Oscar joins us. Oscar, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Keith.
I'm going to call you our chief reporter. How does that sit with you?
Chief reporter sounds good.
Good. Not because you're the only reporter.
No. There's a whole crew of other me's, definitely.
Yes. You, young man, pay attention. Or our chief reporter, just speaking to the other reporter over there. So how are you? Good week?
Yeah, good week.
Yeah.
Pretty chilled.
Chilled. Good. Pretty chilled is good. It's always good to be pretty chilled. So let's briefly, because this is kind of breaking news, the incident in Manchester. I use the word terror attack because I got it from a certain news source. That's how it's been reported. What are your thoughts on the attack on a synagogue where 2 people died in Manchester last night?
So firstly, I think it's a tragedy that people are losing their lives, definitely. But I just want to focus on language for a moment. So Greater Manchester Police have now declared the synagogue attack a terrorist incident, and the suspect, a man of Syrian descent who has moved to the UK when he was approximately 5 years old, was not previously known to counter-terrorism services. Some, like MP Khalid Mahmood, speaking on BBC Breakfast this morning, have urged people to draw a direct line between what is happening in the Middle East and what happens at home. I think we should be really cautious with that framing. For example, when I lived in Copenhagen, I was living about 5 minutes from where there was an active shooter. I remember that it was the Fields shopping center shooting, and as you can see on the screen, it was labeled as a gunman that kills 3 in a Fields shopping mall. I felt terror. I had my flatmates who were inside the building feel terror, and yet it was not labeled a terrorist attack. So there's no talk of terrorism there. There's no links to wider global politics. So
did this man happen to have light-colored skin?
Yes,
gunman?
He was an ethnic Dane. The media claims have since come out that his mental health was affected, and that's what led him to commit the mass shooting. But as I said again, even though it was a lone gunman, that we were still felt terror.
Of course.
Yeah,
it's a terrifying thing to have happened, but it's this idea that this is a terrorist attack. This man, it's important that we, put it out there that he's of Syrian descent. But, all of these things are fueling, and it's divisive, and it's not good when you have a politician coming out and saying, we need to draw a direct line between this and pro-Palestinian protests.
I think at the moment that language and that framing is very bad and very wrong at this stage.
Yeah.
As more information comes out, potentially we'll need to draw those links. But for all we know at the moment this is a Syrian national, grew up in the UK and has killed Jewish people on Yom Kippur.
Yeah. All of that is bad enough.
All of that is bad enough. We don't need to be criticizing pro-Palestinian protesters. Pro-Palestine protesters are protesting for peace. They are protesting to try and end an ongoing genocide.
I mean, I was at a pro-Palestinian gathering yesterday, and I was talking earlier. It's a pro-life protest. It's a protest against a genocide that one group of people, one nation is trying to wipe out another. if the case was the other way around, if Palestinians were trying to wipe out Israeli Jews, I would be at the same. I'd be the same place, saying the same things. This is not about Muslim. This is not about religion. This is not about ethnicity. So why draw a direct comparison? Why? I mean, she didn't mention like the Congo. She didn't say we need to draw a line. Like just because there was a gathering in Manchester, this did happen in Manchester. We don't need to draw, because what they're trying to do, and we can see it with labeling other pro-Palestinian organizations as terrorists, they're trying to outlaw gatherings like this. And this seems very, from the UK government, from the establishment in the UK, this seems very pro-Israeli.
Fundamentally, our politics systems are designed to be pro-Israeli. We have funded the Israeli government and military since its inception. That is a topic for a whole another wider debate, which I'm happy to have at some time.
Yeah.
But just clearly the facts are, as of now, this man has gone out and he has killed people, which is wrong. We do not need to be labeling him a terrorist as of yet. We know that a terrorist incident has occurred. 3 people have been arrested. And as they are interviewed and they serve their day in court, more details will come out.
Yeah.
And then we will follow and report on those details at the time as they come out.
Yeah, of course. And we'll try and do it, unlike mainstream media or like certain publications, we'll try and do it without creating further, sort of, I mean, I don't like to use the word fascist or right wing, but like it seems very anti-brown colored skinned people. Do you know what I mean? You just can't help but think, and it just seems too on the nose. And then you start all sorts of, conspiracy theories erupt, when these things there's just not, yeah. Anyway, we'll come back to it when we have more facts, because I'm afraid I might say the wrong thing. You are here to talk to us more about the CHI. We spoke a little bit about it last week, and I spoke to the parents of Harvey that we spoke about last week. So let's just have a little listen to them speaking about Harvey before we get into that.
So Harvey, we always tell everyone that Harvey was our little daredevil, because, in his wheelchair, he had no limitations. He loved to go fast and do wheelies and test my fears a little bit, always thinking he was going to injure himself, but he was very good in his wheelchair. He had great taste in music. His favorite band was the Beatles. He loved Oasis as well. He was really into like sensory things like lights. And he was such a cheeky little boy. Like he was absolutely the cheekiest little thing, and he was loved by everyone that ever met him.
Yeah, he was extremely cheeky. He was a messer. I remember one time we were in Dublin Zoo, and he would have had like a massive curly mop at the time. And I don't know if you know that like really, really steep hill at Dublin Zoo. He like broke away from me. He just like forced himself down it. And like, you can just imagine this. Like, and when he'd do stuff like that, he'd take his hands off the wheels. And like, you just imagine this like curly headed little kid just flying down the middle of Dublin Zoo, people looking at us and me running after him. You're
screaming, I'm not a bad parent.
I'm not a bad dad.
Push him.
Yeah, and like he's not in a wheelchair because we caused it.
Just nice to get a little bit of background on Harvey. He seemed like a cool kid, full of life, and unfortunately, because of, there is going to be an inquiry into this, but it doesn't look good, and unfortunately, Harvey's no longer with us, and I will tell you more about that full interview and where you can watch it. But so listen, where do we start with this report?
So to start with, we're going to go back in time a little bit, about to when the CHI, Children's Health Ireland, was actually set up, and that was in January 2019 under the Children's Health Act. It brought together Temple Street, Crumlin, and Tallagh's paediatric services into one national body, and that was designed to prepare the new Children's Health Hospital. At the time, it was hailed as a specialist organization dedicated to children's health, and it sat outside of HSE. HSE, so if you're from the UK like myself, you don't know much about Ireland. It's the health service executive in Ireland's National Health Authority.
Yeah.
It runs public hospitals, community care, mental health care services, and more. If you use Ireland's public health system, it's HSE that delivers your care. So the idea behind CHI was to give children's services their own space away from the HSE bureaucracy. But almost from the start, CHI has faced major problems. Waiting lists grew intolerably long, particularly for children needing spinal and orthopedic surgery, as Harvey's family experienced. Families of children with scoliosis and spina bifida told story after story of years of pain and decline whilst waiting for operations.
Yeah.
Then the scandals hit. In 2023, it was revealed that non-CE marked springs were used in spinal surgeries at Temple Street with serious complications. This year, an audit into hip dysplasia surgeries showed that many pelvic osteomyelitis at Temple Street and Kappa may not have met proper
A
clinical.
lot of clinical terms in there
Yeah,
for you to get through.
yeah, a little bit
It's
difficult.
it's like getting a part and sent elsewhere and then having
Yeah,
a big
yeah.
monologue about an operation you're about to perform as a doctor. You're only an actor. But if we pause there for a second, this
Yeah.
is like set up in 2017. Now,
Mhm.
some of these hospitals, the Children's Hospital, were run separately almost from the HSC, but they all fall under the HSC. So you could look at it as, okay, so in 2017, which, you know, what's that? Talking 7-8 years ago. This entity was removed from the HSC because we were building this massive children's hospital. A children's hospital that hasn't been built yet and has gone. I mean, I don't. Maybe you're going to talk about that, but so it's not that long ago. And now, so just to say that it's 25. Like this has only been in existence for 7 years, and look at the problems that have been created already.
So I think like from its start there was problems, and
Yeah.
like in 7 years it's already proved to be so much of a failure that they're going to completely shut it down and reintegrated it. Some would argue largely to avoid legal trials as well. So if we're looking at like this year as well, there's been an audit into hip dysplasia surgeries and how that showed that many pelvic osteomyelitis have not met the proper clinical criteria.
Yeah.
So over 1,800 children are now being reviewed. So it's 1,800 families that are now affected by this public body, which was meant to help people.
Yeah, but you think about like the population of the country, like, you know, we're only 5-6 million or whatever. It's not that big a country. You're talking about 1,000 children. Like, how many children have issues with their hips in this country? And then we're talking like, so what percentage of them are now having to have their surgery reviewed? And then we have the whole insertion of this screw issue, which parents weren't told about. And another thing that we'll get to in a moment is when Harvey's mum and dad were talking about not being told of the infection rates. It's like, how have we gotten here in the space of 7 years?
It's just so bad, especially when you like take into fact that like sepsis, for example, can kill in as little as 24 hours.
Yeah.
So you're giving people operations, giving children operations without the proper surgical equipment, it sounds like. And this is 2025.
I don't know if you have this statistic in there, but Stephen, Harvey's dad, was telling me that in the UK, there was a hospital which was showing a 1% infection rate during operations like this. They closed the hospital down for 6 months. There was a 1% infection rate. So they had to say to parents, there's 1% chance that your child might get an infection, which can be fatal during this operation. In Ireland, in some cases, it was 75%, and they continued to perform the operations, and they didn't tell the parents what the percentage rate was. So what they got was consent forms, but the parents didn't have all the information. So you're looking at 1% in the UK. Now, I'm not an apologist for the British, but they do some things correctly. 1% shut the hospital down for 6 months until they got to the bottom of it and they sorted it out. They paused everything. They said nothing more is going to happen here until we find out why we're at 1%. Meanwhile, across the water, 75% chance of infection, and we carried on. Not only that, we didn't tell the parents.
That is just innately wrong, and it's just risking lives for no reason.
It's bonkers.
It's just wrong.
It's so irresponsible. It so goes against patient care. And it's a thing I keep going back to. Do people not realize that hospitals are there to look after sick people and get them better? That seems to be the last thing on people's minds. Sorry, carry on.
No worries. So as you're saying, alongside all these scandals, the governance has collapsed. CHI's CEO went on leave, legal disputes have dragged on, and interim leaders are being reassigned. Several board members stepped down. Then new reporting as of this week, the Irish Times showed that CHI board had been worried as far back as 2022 about a problem called insourcing. So this is when staff are rehired through private companies to cut waiting lists. That's not generating any new staff. So staff shortages that they're already experiencing are just being made worse. But what it does mean is the doctors themselves can earn more money, which is a good thing. Doctors are being underpaid. However, one contractor alone earned over 50 million euro in just 2 years.
So it's not necessarily the doctors. It's not necessarily the new doctors, the young doctors. We're looking at consultants here.
Potentially,
who are
yes.
coining it.
Yes. So what we need is actually a higher investment in Ireland's healthcare system so that new doctors, junior doctors can go in and take those positions and hopefully alleviate some of the strain and improve the system.
Yeah.
But we're not getting that. Instead, it's consultants are getting a higher percentage.
Why anybody who works as a doctor should be earning 55 million is beyond me. The other thing is that it's not like we're not investing in healthcare in Ireland, but all of the money is going into this money pit called the Children's Hospital, and the budgets are being pushed out, and actually it's going to run over again, and actually it's going to run over time-wise and budget-wise, and actually it's going to, and now we're like, this is the biggest money pit. So like the investment is there. It's just being
wasted.
It's like, I remember I live in an Australian guy and he had a boat. He said, mate, don't ever get about. It's like standing in the shower and ripping up $50 notes. That's what I think about the Irish health system. I don't know who's ripping up the notes, but they're all disappearing down the drain.
Definitely, they're going. It's almost as if you're lighting them on fire.
Yes.
So the question you must be asking yourself, and the question I imagine a lot of Irish people are, is why are they bringing CHI back into HSE? So the government argues that paediatric care has to be integrated with the wider health system once the new National Children's Hospital opens, which may raise the question of why separate it in the first place if we're just going to
It was only 7 years ago.
Yes, so it's not massively far in timelines, but yet again, we're seeing it reintegrated. So they say direct HSE oversight will mean stronger accountability, less duplication, and better use of resources, so hopefully less money wasted. In other words, folding CHI back under the HSE should stop the fragmentation and make sure children's services don't operate in isolation. Their target is for the integration by 2027, so a couple of years. But the question is this actually going to fix the problems that families have been shouting about for years?
Yeah.
Or will it just move them into bigger bureaucracy? And I worry that it's the later, where there'll be more systems that they have to go through in order to get proper care.
Yeah. Look, thank you very much. Is that
That's as much as I have in CHI.
That's it for me now.
Yeah, that's it for me.
So you said that's it for me, Oscar Virdee, and on MOTH News.
That's it for me, Oscar Virdee on MOTH News.
Excellent, wonderful. We're professionals now. I would say to you before you go that my big concern is that the people who should be questioned and should be accountable to the massive cock-ups, the massive shitfest that is the CHI, are going to disappear because it's been integrated, so it doesn't exist anymore. So that means the CEO, the former CEO who has moved into a different role on the same money, I don't know if you saw that, so still is involved after being the worst CEO of anything ever. They're just going to be where? They're not, well, I don't do that job anymore. I don't need to answer any questions. That is a big problem for me.
And then they won't get prosecuted as well, which is, again, an even larger problem.
Yes.
But it's just hiding in bureaucracy.
So we will watch that one with interest. I do want to go, thanks very much, Oscar. We will be talking to Al, who's waiting in the wings. But I do want to play another clip of, and this is a slightly longer clip. This is Harvey's mum and dad. And you can watch, I'll tell you where you can watch this at the end of this clip. It'll be on our YouTube channels fairly shortly. You'll just have to wait. Be patient, people. Come on now.
Down the line as well. And when you look at all of this, every family in the country has been affected in a negative way by this organization. And until we all, as soon as we realize this and we realize our strength in numbers as parents, that's the power. Because I mean, my thoughts are, well, if every parent in the country decide to down tools on a Monday and not go to work, or not do what they're being asked to do every day, despite how difficult the government are making it for us. If every parent in the country just said that enough is enough, we're not doing anything until you guys do better.
Yeah.
And there's power in that, and I don't think as a collective, the parents of Ireland have realized
how much power we do have.
But I think as well as that, I've noticed from some of the comments online that a lot of people think that this seems to be an isolated thing, that they're like, it's terrible what happened to this child. And we always say, Harvey was incredibly unique, but his issues in healthcare are anything but. Like that report, the undescended testes leading to infertility and a higher risk of cancers, that predates CHI. Like that's back from when Crumlin was still under the HSE. So like this is a long-standing issue of like failings in care for these children. So it's been going on so long now, and I think that's one of the biggest things that needs to hit home, is that it could be any of our children.
And that's what I'm saying. As soon as we realize that, that's an isolated incident. And you'll be made to feel that these are all isolated incidents until you I mean, for me, I speak to people about, experiences with loved ones in care homes, in hospitals, and I'm going, these are not isolated incidents. No. This is affecting I would say almost every single family in the country. And once we realize that it's affecting us all, and we're not alone, and I think that's where your work is helping to make people realize that, because it's only when you speak out, and I think traditionally, and for whatever reason, Irish people are a little bit afraid when it comes to speaking out, and also because of how we treat our whistleblowers, in this country. And I think that's why it's great, the work you're doing, and I do hope that people watch this and see you guys and see the work you're doing and realize, oh, actually, we've been adversely affected by decisions made by this government or the HSC or the CHI, and join you, and offer their support,
Yeah, and I think that we are kind of at this moment where there's almost like a mini disability revolution happening, within Irish society, where people are coming forward, because like people with disabilities are probably they're more likely to be poor than anyone else in society. Do you know that kind of way? They don't have, and then like they don't have the ability to be able to work because our society isn't inclusive and isn't, you know what I mean? Like a lot of them can't access bus services or rail services and all these kind of things. Like I remember when the Green Paper was coming in, and when they were planning to bring it in, and like people with disabilities were so scared. Do you know what I mean? It was like, oh, I'm literally going to be brought into a social welfare room and re-evaluated on my health to see how I can work, and then my funding is going to be taken away,
and the funding that's already so incredibly limited. And it's like, when you have they actually felt like social welfare inspectors were more able to determine your ability to work than the doctors and consultants that have been caring for you. And it's like, that's not a way to run this system. That's not a way to value these people with disabilities.
Yeah,
it was just shocking. I'm so glad it didn't go ahead. But even at that, like, even with what people with disabilities get right now, it's not enough.
I mean, I have a small insight into it. Having got a late diagnosis of ADHD and autism, so now I challenge things like fines for late payment or whatever, and I don't feel shame. I'm like, well, look, this is a difficult thing for me. I understand it's a difficult thing for me, so I challenge everything now. But I see that there's a disability tax.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah,
there's a hidden disability tax that people with disabilities pay, and it's almost like the harder it is for you to go about your day because of the structures of, how things are set up, almost like the more tax you pay mentally, physically, and financially,
Yeah, I think there was a lot of things, like even with Harvey, there was a lot of hidden things that were never, like, because obviously he would have had a medical card, but there was other things, like he had a skin condition that would only like react to one cream, and that cream would cost us like 45 quid every 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? And then there was like nappies that we had to pay for because the HSE only give you a certain amount. Do you know what I mean? Like there was a massive hidden amount of money that would have to be
because there's that feeling of pushing back on things, and you're penalized because it's almost like you're ungrateful. Well, this is what we're giving you, and that's not good enough,
Yeah, but it's the same for carers as well, like the way that still means tested, and disability payments are means tested. It's not set up to support our most vulnerable the way the system is at the moment.
And we need to do better. So did you meet with Simon Harris? Did you meet with Jennifer Carroll McNeil? Did that happen? And how did those meetings go?
Yeah, we had that on Monday. Ran on longer than we had expected, but we understandably had a lot to say because we've been trying to get this meeting for so long. So at the start, we had asked that, they let us say their piece before coming back to us with their response. because we wanted to make sure we got to say everything that we felt we needed to say. It went okay, you know, to have.
If there was a lot of tension.
There was. We butted heads a few times, but we got out of them.
Can I just ask you there, you butted heads because
we got
the reluctance. Sorry, go ahead. Just explain a little bit for people, because I don't think people understand. You know, you see the transcript or you read the article.
Yeah,
the humans in the room, you know.
Yeah, so if you can imagine going into this room with like a little round table.
Stop for a second. We have been advised to not share too much of the specifics of everything that was said in the room.
Okay,
good.
But no, it was just that we'd kind of got the impression that they maybe wanted to wait for some more of the outcomes of ongoing reports before starting an inquiry. And that's where I think the biggest headbutting came from, because as far as we're concerned, they've waited long enough, and that every report up to this point has only had bad things to say. And we don't need another report telling us that things aren't running well to start the full inquiry. Because I was saying that I feel like we keep looking at pieces of a puzzle, and we need to look at it as a whole now, because it's not, as like, while you're focusing on one area, other areas are still failing.
Yeah. It's like they're putting out a fire in one corner, and behind them, you know, the whole kitchen is going up in flames. You know what I mean? Like and that's what CHI has been doing for the last while, is just putting out a fire here, putting out a fire there. And yeah, I think it's all kind of piled up now. And like, I think this is the moment to start an inquiry. Hopefully statutory, that's what we'll be pushing for.
Yes, there you have it. You can watch the rest of that on our YouTube channel later on. I'm going to play it out as live on MOTH News. So wherever you're watching MOTH News, you can watch that full interview there, and then it'll be available on our YouTube channel. And wherever you watch this stuff, very interesting. And as you can see there, a lot of the questions that even Oscar sort of brought up there about accountability, about the fact that, you know, as they're pushing, basically what was happening was everybody seemed to be waiting around for this children's hospital to be built. Now, this children's hospital was going to solve everything. So in the meantime, they didn't really deal with anything. So all of this stuff was happening. You know, 75% infection rate not dealt with, parents not told about it. The springs that were being inserted into children, parents weren't being told about it. All these things were happening. The undescended testes issue that's going to be huge for the HSE that's coming down the line. Spina bifida and scoliosis, all of these operations and things, and non-transparency, and just the place is just an absolute dumpster fire. You cannot put out the fires because they will burn forever. And everybody was waiting for the children's hospital to be built because that was the day that everything was going to magically start working. But it's not about a building. It's about processes. It's about people. It's about telling whoever it is you need to tell. Doctors that are on an ego trip, sorry, you can't do that. Somebody needed to be strong. We need accountability. And the last thing anybody wants, and I think before they integrate the CHI into the HSE, could we just pause that there? Allow the investigations to happen, be it statutory or otherwise. Listen to what the parents are saying. Bring them all into a room. Follow their lead and do this properly. Because we do it as a country over and over and over and over again. We try and skip over the important parts. We try and hide things. We're not transparent. We're not honest. We're not vulnerable. I mean, I know somebody who's done a lot of work on myself with regards to, you know, mental health and going to therapists or whatever. And the thing they'll tell you about is to be honest, show vulnerability. Nobody wants perfection. We just want honesty. If something's gone wrong, let's talk about it. If there's 75% infection rate, close the place down. If we need to declare a state of emergency and bring in a team to look after the 140 extreme cases that need immediate care, we do that. We pause what we're spending on the children's hospital. Focus on the lives, the children, not the building, not the bureaucracy, not the CEO who doesn't want her ego bruised, not the organization and how are we going to integrate. Stop everything. And give the doctors what they need. Bring doctors in from outside. from wherever. Put all of that, stop spending money on everything else and put all of that money on saving lives, which is your job. Your doctors, your nurses, they're called hospitals. People are supposed to come in and get well and go out again. And we can do this if we prioritize people over bureaucracy and egos and buildings. Anyway, we will, you can, please do go and watch the rest of that interview because it's inspiring. They inspired me as parents, as a dad. I'm very much on their side, but also it's shocking. And we don't know. I was going to say we don't know the half of it. We don't know a fraction of it, of the stuff that went on. Al, you're very welcome. You joined us at a very upbeat, chipper time of the show, as usual. How are you doing, man?
Good morning.
Are you? Oh, what time is it? Are you in New York? Are you?
It's jumped on at 6 a.m. Yeah, I'm in the Big Apple, East Coast.
Yeah, but you're a 3 a.m. You're a 3 a.m. starter, aren't you?
I am.
So 6 a.m. is you're on a lunch break.
I'm on my coffee break.
Good man.
Good man. To speak to you, my man.
Good. Thanks very much.
I won't lie to you, I'm taken aback by that. That's heavy stuff, isn't it? But, yeah.
Because Al, you're talking about like all we've heard about is like the children's hospital this, the children's hospital that, and we've seen what a dumpster fire that's been, and now you're finding out all this stuff like underneath it all. This like I was saying to Oscar that this hospital in the UK, there was a 1% chance of infection during these procedures. So they shut the hospital down for 6 months. They paused everything until they got to the bottom, until they got to the root of the problem. And then once they did, they continued. And they spoke to everybody. They explained everything. And it was very transparent. And we've had a 75% chance of infection. We didn't tell the parents. And they were signing consent forms for operations without having the full facts.
Extraordinary. I mean, yeah, thankfully we've got a legacy media to cover all this stuff and help us navigate through it as citizens. Again, it goes back to...
Yeah, thankfully the mainstream media are on it and demanding answers, always.
They're getting blood noses, apparently, is the rumour. We heard that term in relation to our good selves.
I've heard. I mean, it was interesting because I looked at somebody had posted, I think it was Neve, had posted, if I can just find this now, excuse me for my technical messing around here, but Neve had posted an old article from our friend Charlie Taylor. You can take this away.
I think that's a different guy, wasn't it? There was an article written by Nick Webb, and then there was another article written by our good friend Charlie in relation to our good. Was that written? Oh, was that written by Charlie? Was that? I thought it was written by Webb, but yeah, good old Charlie. Dug into alleged use of VAT. I mean, it wasn't alleged; it was proven. So again, brilliant journalism.
Well, I mean,
if
we take this apart briefly, if you don't mind,
yeah.
So this is something that was written about us. This is the old article, though, isn't it, Al?
That's the last year, but I just a correction. I don't think it was.
You don't think it was Charlie? Okay.
I don't think it was Charlie who wrote that. I think it was Nick Webb. I want to correct that. We'll validate that, right?
I remember. I feel like I remember because I remember being talked about, and I was quite excited.
Yeah.
He says, you see that you're talking about you. That's you there, Beechner, is also behind this MOTH network, which promises to expose corruption and generally give the mainstream media a bit of a bloody nose. So for the team, the team have dug into the alleged use of VAT as state aid for the farming sector, which was true, which has happened. This is modern day journalism in Ireland. He's poo-pooing our findings and our facts. And looking into the use of contractors at RT, something that the old mainstream media have investigated years ago. Well, you haven't gotten anywhere with it. And then apparently you're a fully fledged Elon Musk fanboy, And we landed a big fat legal letter from another of the show's subjects, and that was our friend Leo, which it turns out a year later, who's got the bloody nose, Al?
I think he's got more than a bloody nose. I think we hit him with a choo-choo train, right? But I just want to say we are going to corroborate the journalist, but we do still stand over the statement that Charlie writes lots of random shit. Right.
Like, we might be in this case, but he does write a lot of random shit.
He does write a lot of shit. Actually, there's an article he did write, which I can stand over, right? Yeah. Which was, as you correctly said, again, standing firmly behind his American buddy. He wrote it on November 15th, 2024, and he said, Al-Tada founder faces defamation lawsuit over podcast comments. Headline. It was a headline. Dun, dun, dun. So then I found an article where Charlie corrected that and said, I'm very sorry, Alan Keith. I know you guys defended that successfully because Jeff Leo is actually in liquidation for exactly what you said he did. And the American families are pursuing it for 62 million. So he did course correct it. Not.
No, I was just gonna say. Oh God, how did we miss that?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we didn't because he didn't fucking do it. So there you go. There's a proof point of Charlie Taylor's credibility is shot, because not only that, right? There's two data points for our friend Charlie and his collaborators, which are the usual suspects.
Yeah.
The guys, Ian Kern from the Irish Times, Tom Lyons from the Currency, they all kind of dovetail together. So we can speak to a pretty significant story. We'll get into Leo in a second. I'm just going to do a very quick update, and then fast track 2. He's again the dick of the week. He's now in liquidation. Brogan Capital, which manages the Dundrum House Hotel, is in provisional liquidator, has been appointed, which means they're going further down the rabbit hole with him, right?
Yeah.
And where it gets very complicated is that is the company that secured the initial IPAS contract within Dundrum. The IPAS Centre is still running, is my information, allegedly. I believe it's still running as of this week anyway. I'll get an update on it for next week.
Centre.
Yeah. That it's still running in Dundrum, right? At great frustration to the local people, of course, because they've been fighting kind of a faceless ghost for quite some time.
Yeah.
Now Leo's, whatever he's up to, and the Brogan dynasty family have, exonerated themselves by saying, "Hey, we've nothing to see here. Our name is on the company. We were directors of the company. We did set up the company. We were involved in the transaction, but we have nothing to do with this since 2017." But my name is on the company. I know what you mean. Oh no, Brogan Capital Ventures. Yeah. So it just gets back into the entire conversation in relation to,
what's going on.
Where's the balance, right? Yeah. And I guess the one we're going to speak to today is dovetailing into another topic. I think the course correction here is my information is that he is exited the Tulmain Castle,
right?
Which again, as you remember, we had the representative of the Wennings, who was a close friend, colleague, and trying to help them. That was a massive frustration for them in relation to they had a few data points for them was they didn't even know that the guy had got married. They didn't know that he'd moved into a castle. They didn't know any of it, and it was all their money, right? So this is the extraordinary side of the story unfolding. And again, I'm open to correction, but I believe there has not been one article or one publication created by Charlie Taylor.
I think you're right. I mean, I haven't seen anything, and I don't, and I've looked. I mean, it's not like we're not looking for it. It's not like we're not interested. It's not like we haven't. It's not like the main, it's been the main focus of what we've done here on MOTH News from the start. Like this Jeff Leo guy, what he's done, the extraordinary things he's gotten away with, the people involved who have allowed him to get away with this stuff, the people like journalists who have reported on what a great guy he is. And now that this is all, like, in fairness to, what was that, the Tipperary what's that publication? Tipperary. Oh, that's Midwest Radio, actually. Sorry, it's the radio station. So that's on their website. Fair play to them. And it seems to be like the local radio stations, local publications are the only ones reporting the facts on this. So where's Charlie Taylor coming in here going, lads, as you said, sorry about that, and I was totally wrong about Jeff Leo. Why is that happening? Why was he talking him up in the first place? Why was he ignoring the facts? Why?
Keith, come on now. Keith, sorry, no. Like, we don't agree on everything, but like, you're a citizen journalist. Come on. Cop yourself on. We're citizen. We're taking an attempt at citizen journalism. What a fucking compliment from fucking the mainstream media. Jesus, you guys are fucking supposed to be trained to this stuff. What a joke. They're just a fucking joke. They get more than a broad nose, I'm telling you, right? That's not the lights at the end of the tunnel, guys. That's the oncoming train, because you're fucking history. People don't believe them anymore, right? I've had a few conversations, and look, I'd say it here, I have a couple of pretty big events. Two have already occurred coming up, where we've launched our new company aggressively, been asked to headline quite a few events stateside. And again, I've met, I'd say, hundreds, not thousands, but definitely hundreds of people that have drawn their conclusion from what they've read in relation to how the journalists in Ireland treated myself and Niamh and the rest of our company during the process, right? Like, they see through this bullshit very quickly, you know? And, you know, if you think of what we're going to speak to today, the contradiction to that then is one of the well-known, and by the way, this is not me saying anything out of ordinary. These guys call themselves the Cork Mafia. That's how they refer to themselves. The elite of Ireland is how they refer to themselves. And then Charlie Taylor's article in relation to PCH, which is a well-known character in Ireland, Liam Casey. Revenue may be seeking to wind up PCH, but don't bet against Liam Casey.
So can you just break that down? Can you just like explain that to me as if I'm a child? I know I behave like a child a lot of the time. So just imagine I'm behaving like a child. Just explain that to me in layman's terms. What exactly is happening here?
So in layman terms, the Revenue have launched an inquiry into, I'm not going to get into any of the alleged stuff. Right?
So official Ireland, the Revenue have launched an inquiry into certain procedures, which is, it's an unlimited company, which means he can do it. He doesn't have to file annual reports. He's Chinese walled, which is the funny description to use, because he's known as Mr. China, right? Because that's where most of his business dealings occurred, right? So he did it. He conducted some kind of process, which meant that his own money was written down by himself, and the Revenue said, "Hey, hang on a second, we don't like the look at us," right? And they've launched an investigation. Okay. Yeah.
And they've said, we're petitioning to wind up PCH based on this.
Yeah.
And then Charlie Taylor,
business journalist for the good of the people. This is the response he gave me when I met him person to person. I said, why are you vindictively, maliciously pursuing me with 73 articles? When I met him face to face, he said, I'm just reporting on the news because I'm for the people. So that's quoting him, right? So now he's here for the people, but what people is he representing is the problem, right? So this is in the public interest. This is something that has been done. The Revenue have raised a concern, and then the balance to that is, ours is, there's a Gar investigation being launched. The liquidator believes this. The liquidator believes this. On the other side, then Liam Casey is, don't bet against him. Why? Because he's part of the golden circle, Charlie, is it? Because he can throw money at the problem. Is that what you're saying? So what you're saying is that you're only a journalist for the top % in the country. That's what you're actually saying. Don't bet against him. So he's not saying what he did was wrong. He's not reporting on it. Yeah.
But let's look at the facts here. So there was a company in Ireland which Liam Casey was one of the largest creditors, called Slendertone, right? They got into financial difficulty. Himself and his crony Pat Phelan, again, who was a self-ordained Cork Mafia head, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Who is a well-known friend of Charlie Taylor. They all hang out very regularly in the Web Summit together, right? And they went into a company to put together a rescue package under examinership, right? The examiner that was running the process, I believe, was Shane McCarthy. Again, the process fell apart, and the very same group that came back in when a liquidator was appointed, which is a guy, Nick Dwyer, and I'll give you some similarity. You probably recognize the names, Keith, because Shane McCarthy was our advisor in Altada, and Nick from Grant Thornton was our receiver. So you're starting to get a bit of a trend forming here, right?
Yes.
And they went in and apparently then took the company out in a liquidation process.
Feels familiar.
Right? And now that company is thriving because they pivoted the business. They're not selling to couch potatoes anymore. They're selling a very sophisticated technology that was created in Ireland to get fit people. So now it's just very successful. So why didn't they just save the company at the start? Why didn't they use the money to bring the company out of this issue? No, what they did is abuse insolvency processes again, which we've been saying here for a long time. Insolvency practices to just get their hands on assets. That's it.
So fraudulent behavior, and it's been backed up by one of the biggest business journalists in the country, and he's almost saying, like, what, revenue are wrong here?
Well, just give you the contradiction. I did a disclosure under a process with the revenue, settled with them, and moved on. It was on every headline. Founder of Altada in issues with revenue. Founder of Altada having it under investigation. Sure, why didn't he say Liam Casey's under investigation by the revenue?
But what he wasn't saying is the revenue are investigating you. But I wouldn't bet against good old Al. He'll come out on top again.
Sure, I clearly am and will.
Yeah, but I know. But like what I'm saying,
no thanks to him though.
Yeah, but I keep coming back to Al. Like, what were you not doing? Why weren't you giving him the appropriate reach arounds? Because why was he saying that about you and not about these people? What is it? Does he just are they more attractive? Do they not like men? Is he not like men in beards? Is he like what? There's got to be a reason. There's a reason why one of our top business journalists is taking sides, and in this case, taking sides against revenue, which seems bonkers. And revenue haven't exactly covered themselves in glory in this country either. But what's he getting from this?
Maybe he just doesn't like me.
I mean, I can see that, but I mean, also, I'm willing to overlook that. Why can't he? I like you very much, Al. I don't know, but that's what I'm saying is I don't like. If we just ask the question, we just put it out there. We've got one of the top business journalists in the country, and he's taking sides on decisions that are being made. And if we look at that article that we showed at the start, how he spoke about us and what we were doing, and how this alleged fraud and speaking to the farmers and whistleblowers or whatever, you can see clearly which side he's taking. And a year on,
well, look, I can speak to this, and again, this is based on somebody's information to me. So what I'm saying, I believe to be true, but allegedly, somebody, not allegedly, actually, somebody did contact me, a whistleblower of our own, right? As you know, we have our tentacles spread wide. We have sources that are digging into this, and we're not letting it go, right? Did tell me categorically that he had information that Charlie, He can write articles based on an arrangement. Let's say that.
I have an understanding of so say for instance, if you look at a new nightclub opening or something, right? And you've opened a new nightclub in Cork, and it's Al's place, right? And it's going to be the hottest new nightclub in Cork, and everyone's got to be there. And the opening night is going to be spectacular. Niall Horan from One Direction is going to be there. It's going to be brilliant. And, Jimmy Barry Murphy is going to come back from Roy Keane is going to turn up, and, it's going to be the biggest. You'll pay, say Charlie Taylor, is a showbiz journalist, and he does a showbiz page or an events page. You'll pay him some money to basically verbatim. He's not going to go into the nightclub and go, well, I'm not sure about this doesn't look great. I'm not sure if what he's saying is the best nightclub and the biggest opening. We don't even know if Roy Keane's going to turn up. He's not going to go in it. Like, so there is that side of journalism. Okay. And it's generally for events, you know, and you pay for that. Yeah. So Al, if you were doing that, you'd pay someone like Charlie Taylor if that was his page. So what I'm saying is, it seems like he is accepting press releases from certain people and printing them verbatim. Why is this like, there needs to be transparency here? Is there something with this page that you pay for an article? Is it advertorial? That would be my question. Because if it's advertorial, it's not news. And if it's not news, he's not a journalist.
Just from my
have you ever
naive mind? No, never. And it's not something I would even have done when things are going extremely well. It's just I didn't. I guess that's alien. That's alien to me. I wouldn't even have been aware that was the thing. So just educate me a small bit on that, Keith. So in their contract, let's just say hypothetically we are referring to Charlie Taylor, Ian Curran. We know Tom Lyons is advertorial. Like if
he's a showbiz reporter, let's call him Charlie.
Tom Lyons gets paid advertisements, and then he'll say whatever the fuck he tells us. Like we all know that about the currency, right? And that's well known.
Let's call the showbiz reporter Charlie Tate.
Charlie Tatum Charlie. So in his contract, is there anything prohibiting him from that? Like if I said to you on a reasonable man test, if I said to him in the morning, hypothetical, and I'm saying this hypothetically, Liam, Casey contacted Charlie and said, "Hey man, I'm going to pay you marketing, of X per month." The figure I was told is that you get Charlie on side for a kitchen, as this is categorically, by the way, from our source, that you for a kitchen in somebody's house, you get a liquidator and a fucking journalist to do a number on the company, right? That's a fact. I was told that categorically, right? So for that figure, whatever that is, 10K or whatever, 15K maybe, if you're going higher end, is there anything preventing a journalist from doing that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's illegal. But what I'm saying is, if it's advertorial, if you're saying this is like the events page, and you're putting in articles, you have to write advertisements somewhere. It's like if you're promoting something, as an influencer, Al, you do a lot of promoting of caps. You wear the latest cap and you go, if you want to buy my cap, because everybody wants to buy the caps Al is wearing, but you have to put onto that post on your social media.
That's one for you today. Do you know what that means?
Semper supra.
It's Latin. Do you know what it means?
The big cheese.
Always above.
Always above.
It's a space term.
So yes, there's a place in journalism and newspapers for that, but no, you have to. Same with social media, if you put up an advertisement, you have to say this is an ad. You'd hashtag add it. You just do the same in the paper. You can pay for advertorials, which is something that looks like an article, but it is an ad. So there is a place for it, but that's not what he's doing. So we need to look.
If we took it on balance, so if we took a very balanced view of this and said, right, okay, on the hypothetical, right, you have a company that's sought after, that is heading for high valuation. Somebody wants that company.
Yeah, they want the product that this company is
They want the product. Let's speak to Altada, because I can speak to that categorically, right? Okay, yeah. That product is very valuable. That's a very powerful tech. Still going today, so I can stand over that, right? Heading for unicorn, which it was, and we did get to that level, right? Regardless of what people want to say. And then somebody wants that technology, and they line up a journalist to write 122 articles. That's how many articles they wrote between them, right? Okay, so as soon as there's a bad issue, it's highlighted. The headlines are very damaging, right? Very damaging headlines about the founders, very damaging headlines about everybody else. Categorically, they alluded to high spend was the reason it failed. That's not the reason the company failed. The company failed because it was a corporate raid. Biggest partner shorted the company and didn't pay their bills. Yeah. And that's it. And then crashed the company. And all of the people that were supposedly supporting the company were in on it, right? And then they came in and bid for the company in liquidation. So give it a balance to that, right? So if that's the situation where Charlie will report, versus there is clearly nobody out there that has got the appetite or the wherewithal to buy PCH because they should be heading into liquidation. So therefore, the article changes to "Don't bet against Liam Casey."
Mm.
So if this was a hypothetical situation and you replaced PCH with another company,
Mm.
most likely Charlie Taylor's article today would be "Revenue set to wind up company, investigating founders for moving funds and writing down investment, and your shit. And then the company is crashed, it goes into liquidation, probably receivership, the asset comes out the other side."
Mm.
That's it. That's the facts, Charlie. And
But
I hope you fucking listen to this.
If you can draw a line, if you can prove this and you can draw a line, then absolutely. That's like, I mean, if you look at this is what he wrote. Is this a year ago when he was talking about us? And he says up here, before the company unfortunately went splat, the private jets and the staff parties probably didn't help. So he's alluding to, even then.
I don't think this is actually Charlie's article, but again, I'm not the question. But he has published
similar
many things like this. Yes,
right,
yeah. We're in 122 articles, and I think 73 of them were created by him, and then everybody else followed on.
Yeah. So what we want to know is who's investigating the journalists.
Correct.
How and what's happening with that, and how do we?
Well, I have contacted the ombudsman, and I have got my own investigator looking into it, right? And we did contact the ombudsman, who just dismissed it. The other thing I'd say, Keith, is
the ombudsman dismissed it as in we're not going to look into this.
Yeah, just came back and said we didn't receive the complaint.
Oh yeah, brilliant! Wow,
lost it. Got lost in the post.
It's too much for us.
The check's in the post, but the other thing is
very quickly now. We have to wrap it up.
We have to wrap it up. But if you just circle up for a second, say, let's look across all of the stuff that's happening. Just a story earlier, the healthcare system, the government, the articles with Charlie Taylor back in the elite. Where is the standards and the editors and all of this fucking process? Like, who allowed Charlie Taylor publish that article? Right? Yeah. That he comes out clearly biased. That's not an objective opinion. He's literally stating his opinion. Do not bet against. So the government has said they're going to do something, and his response to that is, "I'll do a nice article for you there, buddy. Chin, chin, chin. I'm going to say, oh, don't bet against him, though." Am I the only one that looks at that?
Who else has he been writing?
Bonkers.
Who else has he been writing? We've seen positive articles being written by himself and Tom Lyons with regards to other government organizations that are involved in investing in companies. So, I mean, we're just like, are people not being prosecuted because they've done favors to people in the past? I mean, we don't know. We're just like we do on MOTH. We just put the question out there, and we let people. We will. I mean, we will have our own investigation. We will come back with answers, but we're just putting it out there. The question is why is this happening? Why is this being allowed? What's happening? We're not saying there's been an exchange of money. Has there been an exchange of favors? It just seems really strange. I don't know. I know a lot of journalists. I don't have any journalists who would just do things because they want to, because they like you. Do you know what I mean?
But Kate, we'll finish on that, right? Just as you said, we need to wrap up. But look, just let's take a data point, because if we bring it back to date every time, it doesn't lie. So just look at our own situation, right? He published an article in relation to a lawsuit regarding the previous shareholders' relation to me, Rocktop. Remember, that was a penal submission, right? Okay, and a plenary submission, sorry. And we defended that successfully. It was drawn out because they didn't even show up. We defended the defamation against Leo because they didn't even show up. Did they do any article to follow on from that to supersede what they published? No. So that's the facts.
Which creates a problem for them, because now you're going, hang on a second.
You're not corroborating stories.
Nothing you can do about them publishing finding negative aspects of your business and publishing that and publishing, and bad PR after bad. There's nothing really you can do about that. But then
Charlie Taylor, just to follow that through for a second, right? If you just look at it, there's nothing that Charlie can do. I know Charlie has become an Irish citizen, right? Okay, and well done in that, right? Well, I am Irish. I was born in Ireland. I am Irish. Yeah. I'm an Irish founder.
Right.
I'm an Irish inventor. I'm a successful inventor. And I have a new company that's on fucking rocket ship. Has he reported once on that? No. Ever.
So there's something is rotten in the state of Denmark, you know what I mean, or Ireland, or Cork, in this case. Do you know what I mean? It's rotten to the core. That's the point I'm trying to make. So
Neve was published on Microsoft News a couple of weeks ago as a female entrepreneur to watch in business, right? You know, there's a couple of new articles coming out from very credible media outlets, which I'm not going to speak to because you probably do something fucking stupid in the meantime. And that's the reality. So, you know, journalists in Ireland, you know, we're watching you guys very closely, right?
Yeah, and also Ireland is internationally is in trouble with regards to investment, and I'm sorry, but you guys are heavily involved in how badly things are looking for business in Ireland and investment. So here we go then. Let's finish up on this. Whether it's hospitals or hotels, taxpayers' money keeps ending up in the hands of poorly managed bodies with little to no accountability. If there's no consequence for mismanagement, the cycle will continue. Collapse, bailout, repeat. Collapse, bailout, repeat. And that's where we're at as a country. But we will leave it there. I'm gonna. Can you hold on there for a second, Al? We've got. Have you met Oscar? Oh, okay. You'll have to go to his one shot there, maybe. Al meet Oscar. Oscar meet Al. You guys met?
Yeah, briefly.
Oh, cool.
I am.
We thought we got to bring in a proper journalist.
Well, I'm certainly not a fucking journalist.
Well, Oscar, give us our. We're going to finish off on 3 reasons to be cheerful here. Oscar's found some 3 things about Ireland that we should be happy about, and we can look forward to the results of.
So, and finally, before we wrap up this afternoon, let's finish with a few things worth smiling about. First, energy. Ireland's wind farms are really pulling their weight. So far this year, close to 40% of electricity has come from renewable sources, most of it from wind. That's not far off a climate pledge, and it's happening now, today, right here. Every extra turn of a turbine means cleaner air, less money spent on importing fossil fuels, and more security over our own energy future. It's a reminder that change is possible, and it's already underway. Second, childcare.
Yeah.
For families in Ireland, this is a big one. Childcare has long been one of the heaviest costs in Irish life, sometimes as much as a second rent. But new reforms are finally taking the edge off. A cap has been set at €295 a week for full daycare and with the state subsidies.
Okay, that's not bad.
Many parents are now paying closer to €200. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Still a serious bill, but it's a real drop, and it means that families can keep more of their income in their pockets.
Okay.
And third, healthcare. So the free GP care scheme has just been extended to cover all children under 8 years old. That means routine checkups and those inevitable "my child is sick" visits no longer come with a price tag. It won't solve everything. Parents will still cover medicines and hospital costs, but it does take some of the financial stress out of those everyday moments when a child needs care.
Yeah.
So as we head into the rest of the day, that's a little bit of good news. So we're getting renewable energy sources, families,
cheaper childcare, maybe,
and possibly better healthcare.
Possibly better healthcare, maybe. It's like Al, as if like that there's a flood in the house and we've lost power. And the water's up to the roof in the kitchen, and someone comes running down the stairs and said, "I just painted a wall of the attic."
Or it's remember that years ago, the finger in the dam? It's kind of like,
yes.
Simon Harris is standing with the finger in the dam. Oh, look, it's okay. Those cracks don't exist.
Wait, let me tell you about how much you're going to save if you already pay over €200 a week childcare to go to work to keep the economy going. Oscar, we're not having to go with you, but like that's how difficult it is to find good news.
I always convinced myself I was a Jedi Knight as a kid. You know, it's just kind of like there's nothing to see here. Everything is good.
We let you go. Enjoy the Big Apple.
The Big Apple. Yeah. Good luck, my man. Okay, Oscar. Thank you so much for the bright, the light of sunshine at the end of the show.
Yeah, and as we do at the end, see, Al, we always sing, always look on the bright side of life at the end. So you ready?
Sure.
3, 2, 1. Always look on the bright side of life.
Do-do, 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 do-do.
You have to whistle.
I can't whistle.
Always look on the bright side of life. And we'll just fade it there. Thanks, Oscar. Thanks very much. Thanks, Al. Thanks, Brown Bear. Life seems jolly rotten. There's something you've forgotten, and that's to laugh.